Okay. We're recording officially.
Nice. Okay. Well, this is good. It's good to be here with you. So, I'm Justin Ahrens.
And I'm Wills Francis.
And this is Design Of. And Ryan O'Neill, our guest today. Thank you for being a part of our podcast.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Our podcast is about people and how they make their ideas happen. And so I can't wait to dig into all the things that you do. So, Wills, before we start, we should probably let everyone know who Ryan O'Neill is.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah? Do you want to do it? Or?
Sure, I can do
Okay,
it.
let's go.
For those of you who don't know, Ryan O'Neill is a singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist behind the band Sleeping at Last, which we've all both heard, I think, a few times.
Yeah. And so multi-instrumental, like what, he plays everything?
Name an instrument and he has played it.
Piano.
Well, yes.
Violin.
Yes.
Harmonica.
Yeah, believe even that one.
All right.
And here's the thing about Ryan's music. It feels both gentle and powerful at the same time. Like it's almost giving volume to the thoughts that each of us has, but doesn't know how to communicate.
Well, and it's also incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, certainly.
What about a cello, by the way?
He can play the cello too. Yeah.
It's awesome. We're really close to each other right now.
We were really close.
Are you okay me looking into your eyes like this?
I prefer it.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's
Makes
good.
the interview more
I'm sitting
intimate.
here on the other couch and I'm like feeling a little left out about this moment that you're having.
No, well,
Pull
you know,
on in, pull
we
on
can,
in.
yeah, we can
Maybe just
switch
leave
seats
this
and stuff.
microphone.
Yeah. So, for those of our listeners who may not know who you are, which I can't believe they wouldn't, you are the leader of Sleeping at Last. Why don't you give us a little background about your music and when you got started and all that sort of thing?
Yeah. So I started quite a while ago. The name Sleeping at Last has been around for over 13, 14 years now. And it started as a band with my brother and my best friend Dan. It was kind of this thing that naturally evolved into a solo project about 6 years ago. And so yeah, it's been the name in which I've made music under for a long time. And I actually got the name when I think I was maybe, I'm not going to do the math right now, but I was pretty young and I was looking for a band name, and so I was in a bookstore and I thought, like, okay, whatever page I turn to next in this poetry book is going to be the name. So it was this Christina Rossetti poem called Sleeping at Last, and I was like, hey, that's interesting.
We woke up, the world was figured out, beyond the beauty we've dreamt about. This brilliant light's brighter than we've known.
Now the name Sleeping at Last feels so like it doesn't even feel like a thing, like, you know what I mean? I'm sure Rule 29 or any of your other projects are kind of the same way. Like, you hear it so many times, it just is a word that represents this part of your life. It doesn't even I don't even register it as words.
It seems like the right fit. Like, it was a great choice. Yeah, I never heard that story. So you literally opened up a book.
Yeah, literally opened it up as a joke. I wasn't actually going to do it, but then I was like, well, that's pretty good.
Well, how old were you when you did this?
So I probably was, I guess, 15, 16, something like that.
Okay. So Ryan started his band with his buddy Dan and his brother, and then they just all eventually decided to go other ways, and he kept pursuing his music.
They were kind of always my songs from the beginning, and so when each of them at different points decided like they were maybe interested in other things and not necessarily wanting to do music full time, which, I mean, I think with any job that's creative, I feel like you sort of have to want to, I guess, be willing to give 110% of your soul to it. And so for both of them, I think that they loved their time doing it, and then eventually just felt like, I think that they were just interested in other things. It was really beautiful transitions too, because I think it was like at the perfect time where I was at a, kind of a tipping point of whether or not I want to keep going with that name or go under just my own name. And I felt like, since they're all my songs, and I sort of felt like Sleeping Last is like my audio journal in a way. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna carry it forward. So that's been the last 6 years, and it's been a really, I mean, it's really fun. I'm an introvert, so I think the going solo thing was actually it brought life to my career in a way, even though I loved, it being an ensemble for a while.
So do you think at that moment where your brother and your friend kind of left was when you made the departure from like, this is kind of a fun thing that I do, to now like, I'm giving this 110%. This is going to be like my career path, my art, my passion.
Yeah, totally. Well, we had some pretty cool experiences as a band. So we signed to Interscope Records when we were all pretty young. So that was like the first moment of feeling like, oh, maybe music could be like
Yeah,
a
so
career.
how old are you when you signed?
That was right around, it was probably a couple years after I started, so I was maybe 18.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. So it was pretty young. And we all felt like that was like our, I mean, especially in those days. Now I joke around with friends, like anytime somebody's like, you know, gets kicked off their label or leaves their label, that's almost like the new signing to a label. Like, oh, congratulations, you're no longer with your label, amazing.
May these words be the first to find your ear.
What I love about that statement is it just shows that Ryan, although he's like a gentle, amazing guy, he's really like a punk rocker.
Yeah, and all these guys work up to getting their label, and then they just drop it, and they're so excited.
And he's like, yes.
I'll give you everything I have. I'll teach you everything I know. I promise I'll do better.
I actually started approaching music a little bit differently. Right around that time, I instead of doing like one album every few years, I would actually, I started these series of music. It started with Yearbook, which was me recording and writing 3 songs every month for a year. So before that, it was just, 12 songs every 2 or 3 years. So I really creatively wanted to turn up the volume and just put out as much as I possibly could. And that, I think, drove a lot of the last 5 years.
Going back to, when you got your record deal, like, just, do you remember your emotions?
Yeah, so it was actually kind of a crazy series of events. So we played at the Metro downtown, and that was like a huge milestone in our career of playing, like, oh my gosh, like this is the place that we saw all of our favorite bands. And so we got to actually play some shows there. And on one of those shows, we actually we ran into Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins.
When you start thinking whether people are going to understand what you're doing, that's a mistake. You just do what you can do, and you make it the best you can make it. And I think if it's beautiful, even if people don't understand it, they'll still be drawn to it. Sometimes you see a painting and you don't understand what it's about, but it's still beautiful.
And he took a liking to the music and ended up kind of like mentoring us for about a year, and that led to the signing of Interscope Records. And so that whole year too. I'm gonna stop. Do you want me to like? Do you want that kind of background noise?
It's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
This is this is Design Of. This is a podcast of reality.
Okay.
Right. We're at your
Design Of.
We
Roll
didn't
with the punches.
Yeah, I mean, just for everyone to know. So we are at your house right now. Thank you again for opening up your house to 2 strangers who we just met.
We just met just 2 minutes ago.
No, thank you for letting us in your house. So we're in your home studio, but Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes,
I'm a huge fan. Now, were they signed with Interscope too?
They weren't actually. So Billy, this was right at the end of Smashing Pumpkins. I think that I guess the first round of the Smashing Pumpkins they'd broken up, and in that time that he was sort of kind of figuring out his next step for his music, we came across. Or I guess he came across our music and was just super supportive and encouraging to us. So we he ended up coming to my parents' house where we used to rehearse, and like actually like really specifically took me under his wing, even like as nice of things of like relationship issues I was having with my girlfriend at the time and things like that. Like he was like very much like a big brother.
I'll make you mine. I'll make you mine if you would have me.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so that led, because of that, and then signing to Interscope, it was like this very surreal, special year or two. And then as soon as we signed with Interscope, that's when a lot of the hard work began. The way I make music now is like the complete opposite of how I made music with Interscope. Like I took about a year. I think we were in the studio for almost a solid year of like between like the mixing and actual tracking, and it was just like the budget was ridiculous, and like I mean just to get the songs mixed, 12 songs or whatever it was, we mixed them in London and we were all there even though we weren't mixing it. We were there for like 2 months. It's like that's the kind of budget. Major labels back then. That's probably why they don't fully operate the way they used to. But yeah, so it was really fun, but it was really, really hard. I beat myself up a lot on trying to make sure like this is my big opportunity, my big chance, and I didn't want to screw it up. And so I like broke down a little bit during that process, and I I loved it because I guess in retrospect I loved it because it taught me everything I know about producing now. So everything I'm able to do with my music now is because of like that difficult process of recording my first record with a co-producer, and the friction that we experienced for like a year straight led to me knowing how to run mics and knowing what compressors do and how to run Pro Tools.
The never rest, climbing like fire through.
I'm always interested by people who kind of put out a volume of work like early in their career and then like have an awesome longer career. Like, what is it like for you to like look back at that music that you put out? Or do you have feelings of like, oh man, I wish I could take it back out of the world, or like, you know, like, or change it in some way, or you enjoy seeing the process of your work even though it's in the public eye?
Totally. I would say in general, it's like looking at like an old yearbook photo of you where you're just like embarrassed about your haircut or something like that. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I thought that was cool. But the only thing that I wouldn't say I'm ashamed of it, but the only thing that I'm embarrassed that people hear is my first album, which not a lot of people know about. It's called Capture. Mm-hmm. And that was my first time really hearing my voice on a recording, other than a couple of smaller recordings. And it sounds like that, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to learn what my voice is supposed to sound like, and it sounds, so that is no longer like in print. And it's not available anywhere.
Even after everything we've seen, we've barely caught a glimpse of what it means.
But my Ghost record, that's the first record that I put out with Interscope, and that's where I learned a lot about writing and producing and all that kind of stuff. And I'm actually proud of it, even though it is really kind of hard to hear. Like, I hear all the tension in it, and I remember, you know, really random, like, oh, that one guitar out of 7 in the song was really annoying to record, and it took me like 4 days, you know. Right. So I hear all of those things, but I would say from then on, which is well over a decade ago, it sounds more like I can be proud of the progression rather than just paying attention to like, wow, that was terrible and I wish people weren't listening to it.
So tell us what you are doing now. Like, what projects have you been working on the last couple months or years, and what's kind of on the docket now, if you can share that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So about 4 or 5 years ago, I worked on Yearbook, which I mentioned was like my kind of my first approach at like a series of music rather than like the traditional album, and that informed kind of everything that I'm doing now. So I started a kind of a long form project called Atlas, and it's going to span over, I think, about 4 or 5 years total. And so I break them down into each year is a collection. So year 1 came out last year, and basically thematically it tells the story through different songs and releases of like the origins of the universe, which is a very vague and big story. But I love the idea of just internally knowing like each song has to have a theme specifically, so it's not always just a blank canvas. And that has sort of like led to this bigger project called Atlas. And so I'm doing year 2 of Atlas right now, and it's 25 songs over between now and I guess a year from now, and it's been really fun. So this year is all about life, so it's all about human development. So I'm going to do a song for each of the 5 senses, and I'm also going to do a song for each of the 9 Enneagram types, which I don't know. I think, Justin, you're familiar with the Enneagram. Are you, Wills?
Took the test this week, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
What's your number?
I'm a helper. I think
that's
number
a 2.
8 or a 2.
I think it's a 2. Yeah, the helper's a 2. Yeah, I think. And then what were you?
I'd have to look mine up. I actually took a 2. I have it here on my computer, but I'm tied.
You're
which
tied.
I didn't think it was possible.
What are you tied between? Do you know?
It was like the helper and something else.
And the peacemaker?
Yes.
Okay. That's typically, like, for some reason people always, like, I actually, when I first took it too, I fell in the exact same thing. I'm definitely a 9, which is the peacemaker. And a friend of mine told me, and this is totally a side note, but a friend of mine told me that the way to know your Enneagram type isn't necessarily to do the test. It's to read the descriptions of the weaknesses of each test, and whichever one hurts the most is your type. Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, and actually, we'll put a link to the test in our description.
We are the dust to dust.
the previous sort of chapter or release of Atlas.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration behind those?
Yeah, so Atlas Year One was I love the idea of like starting before the universe existed. So I started it with an EP called Darkness, and I kind of look at that as both, we don't sort of mystery where we don't understand what was before the universe existed, and then people of faith, like myself, I think that also is maybe acknowledging the mystery of God in that theme. And then Light, I think, is the second EP, and that acknowledges, the start of the universe. And then I did a song for each of the planets in our solar system. So I did 2 little volumes of space EPs, which was really fun. That was one of my.
I love those, by the way.
Thank you very much. I always knew that I was into space, but until I researched for those songs, I was like, apparently I'm way into it. Really, really into space. And then I did an EP called Land. So basically, the way I like to think of it is like there's a video camera that's pulled out into the farthest points of the universe, and then each EP or each release that I put out is like it coming closer and closer to us and to our world.
To me, what I love about this, and I don't want to make an assumption, is as a fellow creative, what I love about that concept is it gives you a parameter or inspiration.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what I've learned recently that it's similar to film scoring in that you have something that gives you feedback. So if I'm writing a song about, I don't know, the sense of feeling, or I guess the sense of sight. I couldn't write something that, things either fit that idea or they don't. And similar to scoring a film, where you see the picture and you see the characters or the mood of the film, and you play music and you automatically know oh, that does not work, or it does work. So I think like you said, there's some sort of really I don't know, it's really inspiring to have some limitations on your art. And because I always have, I think everybody does, but anytime there's a blank page in front of me, it makes me very scared.
You are so much more than your father's son. You are so much more than what I've become.
So can you try to explain your process? So let's say pick what either something you work on now or last year's Atlas. How do you start?
Yeah, so I've kind of figured it out with these little, I guess, not rituals, what's the right word? Practices. I've figured out which practices work for me, and I kind of learned this idea to search for that from a book called Songwriters on Songwriting, and I can't remember. Basically, first of all, it's a book of interviews with different songwriters, and it's all about the craft of songwriting.
John is in a basement mixing up the
all these incredible musicians. I think everybody from Bob Dylan, Paul McCartney, everybody you can think of that's classically known as an incredible songwriter. It's just interviews about their process, and the theme running through the whole book is that nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody has any clue where the songs come from, why they exist why they appear when they did, and so. But everybody kind of talks about their ritual or their practice of
process,
how to be ready for it. And somebody said in the book, and I'm sure that I think there's so many quotes similar to this, but creating is sort of like waiting for a bus.
What Ryan is saying with that bus analogy is that if you're not preparing and ready for inspiration to strike, you're going to miss it.
Yeah, and if you're not at the bus stop, then you're going to miss that moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a misconception that a lot of people have about creative work, is that you're just running around picking up ideas left and right. But we both know that's not always the case.
So every day, what I try to do for the lyrics end of it is I will try to just, even if it's a word that is interesting to me, or an idea of a line of lyrics, or just stream of consciousness kind of writing, I try to do it every day. So I'm just recording nonstop. And then the same thing applies to music. So I have my little iPhone recorder, and I will sit down at the piano, sometimes intentionally and sometimes just to mess around, and I will record if just a couple chords sound good that day. And what happens is I forget about these little collections of lyrics or music, and then when I go back, or if I find an idea that sounds maybe more substantial, I'm able to go through those little collections and sort of figure out, oh, that little idea that I totally don't remember, but that it sort of connects somehow in this other way, or in this to this other piece of music that I'm working on. So all that to say, it's a process of a lot of collecting. My way of waiting at that bus stop is I try to record every day. So I don't do it religiously, but I do it as much as I can. So for lyrics, I will sit down. I have a journal app on my computer and phone. The deadlines actually made things appear that would not have appeared at all, you know?
Yeah.
In my writing, and in like just me pushing harder and harder than I even knew I could do. Now it's interesting too, because I have a daughter, and she's 9 months old, and that like
She's adorable, by the way.
Thank you so much. I'm pretty proud of her. She's my masterpiece. I didn't have much to do with it,
Right.
but
Well, a little bit. You had something to do with it.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But now I'm really trying to figure out how to structure my days, because I used to just work all the time, and there would be no hours. Similar to that waiting for the bus stop thing, I would just be waiting there all day, every day until I sleep. And now I've decided that 8 to 5 or whatever that's where I'm going to be at the bus stop, and I'll be ready if it happens at 9 p.m. or something.
Right.
But,
Bring us into the process of waiting and preparing what that's like.
yeah, so I'll tell you what I what I would ideally like it to look like. It would be sitting at a piano or just kind of patiently waiting.
Yeah.
What it realistically looks like is me being frustrated and following 20 rabbit holes on the internet of random distractions. I'm like, oh, I'll just take a peek at that, that review of whatever movie, and then 45 minutes later I'm like, oh yeah, I'm writing a song now, I forgot. So that's really what it looks like. But the deadlines do actually make it look a little different, because
Right.
I'm kind of hard on myself. So if I'm on a crazy deadline and I find myself doing anything that's outside of working on it, I will be a little bit probably too hard on myself. So I am constantly just banging my head on the computer screen waiting for something to fall out. Music generally gets pulled together a little bit more quickly and more organically. Like, I feel like music, well, there's only 12 chords. That's probably why. There's only 12 chords or 12 notes, and with words there's however many, infinite combinations of words. So music comes together quicker, and sort of where the, I guess, craftsmanship or where the work goes into is just like arranging it and like tweaking some of the connections to verses and choruses and things like that. But lyrics, that's all that I always like joke around that feels like building a house or something. Like,
Right.
There's certain things that you can do that just don't work.
Chances are we bruise the same. A family tree desperate for rain.
So there's this record hanging on the wall of your studio here, and it has Twilight stuff on it. What exactly is that?
I wrote my song Turning Page, and kind of wrote it looking at, I think I even looked at leaked photos of the movie, like we leaked like screenshot or screen grabs or whatever of the film, and so I used those as like the inspiration. So I saw that the wedding was like outside, and there's like little clues that I picked up, and so I wrote the song, and I wrote it as a love song for Kate, but I bent it in, or I is that the right word? I leaned it in to have a little bit more of a Twilight connection in the lyrics.
I know what you are.
Say it.
Vampire.
Your love is my turning page. Only the sweetest words remain.
That is amazing that Ryan was in a movie, and then he was also in a bunch of TV shows.
Yeah, a bunch of TV shows and even a few commercials recently.
I think he was in the big commercial, right?
Oh yeah, the Super Bowl ad for Budweiser.
Oh man, that's my favorite one.
The one with the puppies.
This was, I think, maybe about a week before, I would say maybe 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. I got a phone call. It was like, hey, there's a company that would like to, they're considering using your music for a commercial. A company. It always starts like super big like that. And I was like, oh, cool. You know, what's it for? And they're like, well, it's this commercial. It's actually going to be a Super Bowl commercial. And there's no, you know, you're just up among a few other artists that they're considering, but we're just, you know, we're dealing with the, you know, the terms and the, you know, we just wanted to know, are you available if they wanted to make any tweaks to your cover of 500 Miles, which I recorded actually for Grey's Anatomy about a year before that. And so I was like, yeah, I would love to. That'd be amazing. And I've known from the years of these opportunities coming up and then going away.
Yeah.
That you don't, you
So at that
try,
moment,
yeah.
how did you just thinking it's not gonna happen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had definitely a handful of commercials that are so the ad world is very, very different than even the TV and film music world. So it's way more competitive. First of all, there's way more money being thrown around for the production of the actual commercial, and it's just a lot more involved in a lot of different ways. And they often do have you make a lot of changes to your music and things like that. And so before the Budweiser spot, I actually had never successfully gotten a commercial before. I've had, you know, like I said, a ton of opportunities that looked like. There was actually one that was a car commercial, and it was for the Olympics, and it was like it ran like every 2 minutes, and it was between me and another artist, and of course last minute they picked the other artist, and so I've learned to get very not suspicious, but to like keep expectations in check. And so when I got that call, I was like, okay, I'm really excited, but I'm just gonna do the work and see, you know, whatever happens. And then I ended up going back and forth with the company that actually produced the commercial, and kind of made some small changes to, like, they wanted the chorus at the end to be like more celebratory and more like, you know, more happy, because my music doesn't make you want to jump out of your seat and dance as much as it makes you want to, you know, crawl into a closet and cry a little bit. Just kidding. No, there's hope in there, but it's not dancey hope. So yeah, it was super fun though, because I got to see a couple different cuts of that commercial while I was working on the music. So it was almost a little bit like scoring, where I had to, you know, nudge the big chorus of the downbeat hits, like in the moment the horses are like stampeding on the screen, you know?
Yeah.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be.
This is so funny because it turns out Ryan was super bummed for a few years that he had never landed any commercial.
I think he's been close on a couple big brands, and then here he is getting the Super Bowl commercial.
Classic.
And I just like offhandedly made like a comment about like, oh, man, I don't think I'll ever get a commercial, you know? And then like a month later I get like the Super Bowl commercial. So now I just complain about everything.
Yeah, that's
hoping
good. Yeah,
that
somehow helps.
the path.
I don't know if you know this, but one of our first sponsors for the design of podcast is this company called Emphasis.
Oh my gosh, tell me
Have you
more.
heard of it?
Have you
Tell
heard of
me
it?
more
Have you heard
about
of
this.
Emphasis?
I have.
Well, tell me, what have you heard about
Yeah,
it?
what do you know about it?
Yeah, what do you know about Emphasis?
So Emphasis is a brand new company that I started with a couple of my close buddies. One of which is sitting on the same couch with me right now. His name's Justin. And
That guy, I think that guy's really
that
cool.
guy's so cool.
Yeah.
And so basically the idea is, or the heart of the idea is, to give music listeners a chance to, you know, that deeply connect with a specific lyric, to be able to handpick that and put it on a t-shirt and kind of make their merch a little bit more personal. Because the idea came a few years ago when I was just sleeping last. I think a lot about, you know, the t-shirts and things that I make available, and I thought, like, wouldn't it be cool, like, I know I personally connect with lyrics of songs that aren't necessarily the chorus or the single or whatever. Wouldn't it be cool to kind of like, you know, actually have something made specifically based on the lyrics that are just the ones that I like, and wear that on a shirt.
So emphasis.is. You love music? You love t-shirts? Check out the website, pick your favorite lyric, design your own t-shirt, and there you go.
Yeah, it's shipped right to your door.
Thank you, Emphasis.is, for being our first official sponsor. Wills, we did it.
Yeah, we did.
Our inaugural podcast is finished.
It's in the books.
But we should probably thank a few people first, I think.
No, you're right. Yeah.
I would like to thank Ryan O'Neill from Sleeping at Last for being our first guest.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ryan. We also want to thank Steve Wick, our audio engineer, who helped record and produce this thing.
And Rule 29 for giving us the space to do this podcast.
And finally, we'd like to thank you guys for listening and encourage you to check us out online at designofpodcast.com or follow us on Twitter at designofpodcast.
And if you want to add some music to your iTunes and just be inspired by some beautiful tunes, check out Ryan's music at sleepingatlast.com.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.